With companies starting to adjust to the new normal as we head into the fall, commercial real estate hiring has finally started to ramp back up, and investment and brokerage firms are starting to gear up for potential opportunities that might arise next year as the volume of distressed assets hitting the market begins to increase. And that's good news for you if you're looking to break into the industry or land a new job. But if you go through the hiring process and land a new role, there's another question you need to ask yourself, and that is, should I take this job offer at all? Now, I know it's a tough job market right now and beggars can't be choosers, but at the same time, it's really important to build your career intentionally, regardless of the market cycle we're in. So in today's video, what we're going to do is break down 4 things you should be asking yourself when deciding whether or not you want to take a job offer presented to you, and why each matters to structure a career you're excited about in the commercial real estate investment or brokerage industries. Hey, this is Justin from breakintocre.com, and if you're new here on this channel, we talk about real estate investing careers and real estate financial analysis. So if you're looking to break into the industry or advance your real estate investing career, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos as soon as they're released. Now, choosing a job can be a really scary thing, especially when you're in those first few pivotal years of your career. If you choose the wrong spot, a few years can feel like an eternity, and job hopping after about 3 months in a role isn't the easiest thing to explain on a resume if you decide the company isn't the right fit for you. So in this video, to help you choose the right role for you the first time around, we're going to break down 4 of the most important questions you can ask yourself to decide if a role is a good fit for you or if you should pass on the offer and wait for a better opportunity down the road. So let's start with question number 1, and if you're looking to work in any sort of deal-oriented acquisition, asset management, lending, or brokerage roles, the first question on this list should be, how much transaction volume will I see? And the reason why this is so important is because getting transaction experience under your belt is huge in propelling your career forward and understanding the real estate investment business as a whole. So the more deal volume you can see early on in your career, the more likely you're going to see your career progress more quickly than your peer set. This is a big reason why I often say on this channel that analyst roles at big brokerage firms are so valuable in the first few years in your career in the industry. If you're working at a company like CBRE, JLL, Eastdil, Cushman & Wakefield, or any other similar big firm in a major market, you're going to see a ton of deal volume come across your desk, which lets you get a really good perspective on how different principal side investors look at deals and the various different business plans they use to create value in a real estate investment. And you might have heard the phrase drinking from a fire hose before, essentially meaning that you're learning a ton all at once, but this is a really, really good thing. Transaction-oriented roles in commercial real estate that give you that feeling, even though it can seem very overwhelming at the time, can allow you to condense a significant amount of experience into a 1 to 3 year time frame and can set you up for much more senior positions or even starting your own firm very early on in your career. Now, aside from transaction volume, even though drinking from a fire hose can have a lot of benefits to it, you also want to make sure that what you're going to be doing is sustainable for the time period in which you plan to do it. And with that, the second question I'd recommend asking yourself before you say yes to a job offer is this role purely a means to an end? So regardless of what industry you're in, if you don't like much about what you do for a living, your life overall probably isn't going to feel that great. And especially in more time-intensive roles that require long work days and after-hour networking, this is definitely something to consider before saying yes to a new job. This means that if you hate running numbers on deals and working in Excel, a real estate analyst role might not be the best fit for you, even if your long-term goal is to run acquisitions for a private equity real estate firm. It's also important to consider this because even if you do get through the 2 years or whatever you think you need to get to that next level where life won't suck as much, you'll still be doing a lot of the things you hate in your current role in the next level up. So to use the acquisitions career path as an example, in most shops, the director of acquisitions is not only going to have to review models in Excel, but they're also going to have to know how these models work in detail and what the impacts are of different assumption changes on returns within that model. So if you're really not a fan of Excel, there are many brokerage jobs out there that focus directly on investment sales or leasing that could be a great fit for you, and you can still invest in deals on the side or become a leasing director at a principal side shop later on in your career. Now, without a doubt, there is going to be a certain degree of paying your dues for any sort of role in any career path, but make sure that the good outweighs the bad and the next level is worth it to get through these tough times. So aside from enjoying what you're doing and seeing transaction volume, you also don't want to get into a role where you learn everything there is to learn in 3 months and then you're just kind of waiting out the clock until it's going to look okay on your resume to go and find a new job. So with that said, the third thing I'd recommend asking yourself before accepting a new job offer is, what will my learning curve on the job be? Now, the natural response from most people is to shy away from doing things that they don't know how to do, and that's a very normal feeling to not want to mess things up or look stupid in front of the people that are responsible for your paycheck. However, if you're only doing things you know how to do, especially early on in your career, you're not really learning if that's the case, and you're definitely not learning at a pace that's going to make you a well-rounded commercial real estate investment professional in the first 3 to 5 years of your career. Every time you're faced with doing something you don't know how to do, you're forced to learn. And you'll learn these things not in a textbook way, but in a I better not mess this up in front of my boss kind of way, which is way more beneficial for really etching things in your brain long term. So the jobs that can be kind of tricky in this aspect are the roles at the big established shops where you're going to do the same thing over and over again, and you're very siloed doing one specific thing in the transaction process, but not really touching anything else. And in these types of roles, yes, you'll get very good at that one thing that's assigned to you, but like I mentioned earlier, when talking about transaction volume, exposure to different parts of the transaction process, different things that can go wrong during a deal, different partnership structures, and different parts of the real estate business as a whole is going to be much more valuable to you for your career development long term. So the steep learning curve opportunities that you're going to learn a lot all at one time tend to be at smaller entrepreneurial shops where you're going to be responsible for doing a little bit of everything, or in high transaction volume roles where every deal you work on is going to have a different ownership profile or buyer profile, or will be in a different location, or will be a different product type. And finally, aside from how steep your learning curve is, the transaction volume you'll see and enjoying what you're doing, even if the job takes all 3 of these boxes, the final question you need to ask yourself before saying yes to a job offer is, does this job fit my long-term goals? And you can take this a lot of different ways, but for what I'm referring to, the more important sub-question of this is, am I going to learn what I need to learn in order to help me achieve my long-term goals? So this rephrasing tends to put a lot less pressure on the question since you're focused on what you will learn rather than exactly where that specific job is going to take you. So for example, you might have long-term aspirations to run your own multifamily private equity investment firm in the future. And if that's the case, the first few years of your career should be focused on learning how to analyze multifamily properties, how to interact with brokers, how multifamily lending works, and how deals are operated by experienced multifamily investors. And with that in mind, you don't absolutely have to start out in a pure multifamily acquisitions role at a private equity real estate firm to head down this path. Analyst roles in multifamily investment sales, debt and equity placement or capital markets roles, lending positions, or even asset management and portfolio management analyst roles at multifamily firms could give you a really strong foundation of what you're going to need to know, and then you'll be able to pivot from there. In fact, having some sort of a zigzag career path to get to where you want to go is often even more helpful than a conventional straight line path in understanding the different perspectives in the real estate industry and how each operates. I think one of the best things I did personally early on for my own career was to work on the principal side in brokerage and even in lending briefly, because I was able to see how each of these different parties looked at deals and operated their own business. And with that experience, I was able to become a much more well-rounded real estate investor early on in my career because I had a much better idea of what each party was thinking and what their motives were during the transaction process. Now you'll notice on this list that I didn't talk specifically about compensation. And while this obviously is important, if you're in your first few years in the industry or trying to break into CRE for the first time, these questions that we talked about in this video should all be asked first above your total pay. So yes, money is important even when you're first starting out, but like I talked about a few weeks ago in the negotiation video I posted, it's not uncommon for jobs with the lowest starting pay for analysts and associates just entering the industry to have significantly higher upside for people who stick it out in those roles for a 3 to 5 year period early on in their career. So overall, if you have a job offer right now, that's a really, really good thing. That means that you have options, and if one company is willing to take a chance on you, that likely means that others are out there too in case this one doesn't end up being the right fit. But by asking yourself these 4 questions that we covered in this video, this should give you a very good gut feeling on whether or not you should take the job you've been offered, or whether you should sit this one out and wait for a better opportunity when that one comes along. And if you're in the job search or application process right now and need to tighten up your Excel skill set, or just want some additional help in your corner to ask questions around the interview process, make sure to check out Break Into CRE Academy, which is going to give you instant access to 19 real estate financial modeling and analysis courses, practice Excel interview exams and worksheets, and additional one-on-one support from me to help you navigate the next step in your career. So I hope that was helpful. If you're considering taking a new job, make sure to let me know in the comments below if you have any questions I missed in this video that you ask yourself before saying yes or no to a new career opportunity that comes your way. And if you like this video and want to see more content like this on real estate careers and the interview process specifically, make sure to hit the like button on the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content as soon as it's released. Thanks so much for watching. Good luck in the job search, and I'll see you in the next video.